Welcome back to Investing Talk podcast. We're diving into Navitas Semiconductor today. It's NVTS. Looks like you've sent over some pretty interesting info about them. So we're going to unpack it all and try to figure out what's going on with this company. We've got some recent stock movements we can look at, some financials, some information about their technology and what they do, and then a little bit about what the analysts are saying.
Yeah, seems like we've got a pretty good picture of where Navitas stands right now. Even if the data is a little different depending on where we look, we can still get a sense of the big picture.
Okay, so maybe we can start with the stock performance.
Uh,
I'm seeing the prices kind of hanging out between 1.82 and 1.83. That's from one source. And they're also saying it dropped almost 10.3% recently. Yeah. Plus another 4.25% down just in the last day. But another source is giving a price of 2.17 and saying it's down like 3.75%. I mean, why are we seeing these little differences?
Well, it just goes to show that, financial data is always changing. Different platforms will update at different times, and that's why you're going to see those little discrepancies. But I think the big takeaway here is that both sources are showing the stock price is going down.
That makes sense. But then when we zoom out a little bit, we see the stock's down like a whopping 63% from a year ago. I mean, that's got to raise some eyebrows. But at the same time, the information we have says it's been recovering over the past 6 months. So it feels like there's like a push and pull going on here.
Well, if you think about the past year, lots of those, high growth stocks, especially in tech, have been super volatile. So the fact that we're seeing a recovery in the last 6 months, it might mean that investors are feeling differently about the company, or maybe there are some good things happening internally that are starting to have an impact. So I guess the question is, will this upward trend actually last?
That's a really good question. And then just to like round out the stock stuff, the volume was something like 6.4 million shares recently. What does that tell us?
Well, usually when you see that much trading volume, especially when the price is going up and down like this, it means investors are really interested in the company. They're paying attention to all the news and making moves based on what they're seeing.
Got it. Okay, so let's switch gears for a minute and talk about what Navitas actually does. They're calling themselves a power semiconductor company.
Yeah.
And they specialize in gallium nitride and silicon carbide technologies. Now, for folks who aren't like super into this stuff, why are these materials such a big deal in power electronics?
Well, the really cool thing about gallium nitride and silicon carbide is that they can handle power way more efficiently than your typical silicon. Like, think of it this way. Less energy gets wasted as heat when the power is being converted. And that extra efficiency is super important for stuff like those super fast chargers you see these days. It lets you cram more power into smaller devices, and it makes everything use less energy. I mean, we're talking everything from those huge data centers to electric cars. It's not just like a little improvement. It's like a totally new way of thinking about power.
Okay, so we're talking faster charging, smaller and more powerful devices, and saving a ton of energy. I mean, those are some pretty awesome benefits. And Navitas makes actual products using this stuff right. GaN-fast power ICs and GeneSiC power devices. Where are these things being used?
Exactly. Those GaN-fast integrated circuits are making a big splash in mobile devices and consumer electronics. They're what makes those crazy fast chargers possible. But they're also being used for much bigger things like more efficient power supplies in servers, power systems in electric vehicles, which is obviously a huge market, and even data centers where saving energy can save a ton of money.
Right.
And then the GeneSiC devices are used for stuff that needs even more power, like where you need something that can take a lot of heat. That's where silicon carbide really shines.
But our sources are saying gallium nitride could replace traditional silicon in lots of applications. We're talking about like a complete transformation, or is it going to be more focused on specific areas?
Well, that's a great question. Technology doesn't always change overnight. Even though gallium nitride has all these advantages, and it's definitely getting more popular, I don't think we're going to see silicon disappear completely right away. Silicon's still a good choice for some things, especially when you're thinking about cost. But for applications where performance and efficiency and size really matter, gallium nitride is becoming the go-to material. So it's more like a strategic replacement in those key areas.
That makes a lot of sense. So let's take a look at the financials for Navitas. In 2023, they had a total revenue of almost $90 million, which is like a huge 23.7% increase from the year before. That's a pretty good sign, right?
Yeah, that kind of revenue growth definitely shows there's a growing demand for their technology. It means their gallium nitride and silicon carbide solutions are finding their way into the market.
And their gross profit margin went up to 52.7%. That seems like a good thing, too.
Oh, it absolutely is. A better gross profit margin means that their main business of making and selling their products is becoming more profitable. They're keeping more of the money they make after paying for the stuff they need to make those products, and that gives them more wiggle room to cover other costs.
But then their operating margin is negative, like negative 8.2%. And the net profit margin is even worse at negative 11.5%. So that kind of tells a different story, doesn't it?
Yeah, this is super important to understand. While that revenue growth and the improving gross margin are great signs, those negative margins mean that their total expenses are still more than what they're bringing in. It could be because they're investing a lot in research and development, or maybe they're spending a lot to ramp up their manufacturing, or maybe they're having to lower their prices to compete. Either way, it's something investors need to keep an eye on to see if it gets better.
Okay, so they also have a debt-to-equity ratio of 0.51 and total long-term debt of like $89.5 million. How should we think about those numbers for a company that's trying to grow?
Well, a debt-to-equity ratio of 0.51 isn't necessarily a red flag, especially for a tech company that's still in its growth phase. It means they're using a mix of debt and equity to finance their operations. But that $89.4 million in long-term debt, we got to look at that in relation to their revenue and how much they're expected to grow in the future. If they can keep that revenue growing at a good pace, they should be able to handle that debt without too much trouble.
Okay, so to recap the financials, we see strong growth in revenue and things are getting more profitable at the product level, but they're still struggling to make a profit overall because of their expenses. And this kind of leads into the red flags and strengths we're seeing in our research. The red flags are obviously those negative profit margins and that big drop in the stock price over the past year.
Yeah, those are definitely the big concerns for investors. If they're not making a profit, it makes you wonder if their business model is actually sustainable. And that drop in the stock price shows how the market is reacting to those financial realities and to the overall uncertainty in the economy right now.
On the flip side, the strengths are that really impressive revenue growth, which is being driven by these expanding markets, and their special gallium nitride technology that offers better efficiency than the competition. It seems like that technological edge is really what sets them apart.
Yeah, that technological advantage is exactly why their revenue is growing so fast.
Exactly.
And it has the potential to make them profitable in the future as they get bigger and hopefully more efficient. It's really the foundation for their future success.
Okay, so let's talk about market sentiment and the competition for a minute. It's pretty interesting that Navitas got that 80 PLUS Ruby certification for their data center power supplies. That seems like a pretty big deal in such a demanding industry.
Yeah, what's really important about that certification is that it proves their gallium nitride technology can meet those tough efficiency standards that are required for critical infrastructure like data centers. This could really boost their reputation in that market and maybe open some doors for new business.
And the information we have says that analysts and investors are keeping a close eye on how well Navitas can take advantage of these growing markets. And like we talked about earlier, that stock volatility and the year-long decline have definitely made some investors nervous.
Yeah, the market's basically waiting to see if those technological advantages and that revenue growth will actually translate into consistent profits and a more stable stock price. All that volatility just shows how much uncertainty there is about that transition.
Now, when it comes to competition, Navitas is going up against some big players like Infineon Technologies and on out Semiconductor. How can a smaller company like Navitas really compete with those giants?
Well, even though Navitas might not be as big or have as many products as those other companies, their advantage is that they're focused on innovation in gallium nitride technology. They're finding their niche by concentrating on high-efficiency power solutions, where gallium nitride gives them a real performance edge. Their focus and their ability to move quickly in this disruptive technology space lets them compete effectively in those specific parts of the market.
Okay, so last but not least, let's talk about the future and what we think investors should do. We know there are some upcoming things that could impact the company, like earnings reports and new product launches, especially in the electric vehicle and data center sectors.
Yeah, those events will be really telling in terms of how much progress they're making and how quickly the market is adopting their products. Positive developments in those areas could be a strong signal that they're on the right track for future growth.
But of course, we also have to consider the risks, like potential changes in regulations, more competition, and even problems with the supply chain. Those are all things that could affect any company in the semiconductor industry.
Yeah, those are just the realities of working in technology and manufacturing. Anyone who's interested in this company needs to be aware of those risks.
Now, in terms of what investors should do, our sources suggest that it might be a good time to buy if certain technical indicators, like the Relative Strength Index or RSI, drop below 30. which could mean the stock is oversold. But they're also saying to be careful because it's so volatile right now. And there's not enough data from moving averages to confirm a clear trend. They're also saying that holding onto your current position might be the best move until we see some more defined trends or the company starts making a consistent profit.
Yeah, I think that advice makes sense given everything we've talked about. The idea of buying because the stock might be oversold shows that there's definitely a speculative element here, but the recommendation to hold off shows that it's also smart to wait and see until there's more solid evidence that their financials are improving and the market is stabilizing.
Okay, so to sum it all up for our listeners, NVTS is a really interesting case. It's a company with cutting-edge technology in these fast-growing markets. But it also has some financial challenges and a lot of stock volatility. You really need to weigh those things carefully. The long-term potential of gallium nitride technology seems huge, but what happens in the short term will depend a lot on the overall market and whether Navitas can actually become profitable. It's fascinating to see this contrast between the amazing potential of their technology and where they stand financially right now. And it raises a really important question for you as an investor. How do you balance the possibility of disruptive innovation with the reality of their current financial performance and all the uncertainty in the market? So that's our take on Navitas Semiconductor. We hope this has given you a better understanding of what's going on with the company. If you like this breakdown, don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment, and let us know what other companies you'd like us to unpack.